Welcome to International Cinema Expressway. Today, we're taking a look at a masterpiece from the Lebanese cinema world, Capernaum, a film about a young boy who decides to sue his parents for neglect.
ليه بتشجع عالم؟
هم خلفوني.
The film itself revolves around Zain Al Rafeea, played by Zain Al Rafeea, a 12-year-old trying to make it through the hardships of life while being stripped off the cloak of innocence. He catches along to the cruelty of the world and grapples along for his own and his family's survival, doing all kinds of odd jobs around the slums. Starting from working at a grocery store as a delivery boy, run by Assad, their landlord who has sinister intentions towards his sister Sahar. The family finds themselves at his mercy as he finds all the chances to emotionally manipulate and force them into getting his way around with Sahar. He eventually convinces Zan's parents to marry Sahar off to him in exchange for some chicken and rent. Zan, who is unaware of this, goes on to plan an escape for Sahar. Coming home and finding the family sending her off, snatches the ground beneath his feet. He screams and fights his parents to let her stay, but all in vain. The intense scene leaves the viewers with their hearts clenched in a ball of emotion. Zan, who learned to fight for the one person he felt closest to, now learns what it is to be helpless, paying the price for a sin one never committed. Hence, his journey here begins as he decides to run away and find solace elsewhere in the world. The first-time actor Zan portrayed his grief in an undeniably mature way, as it gripped the viewers till the very end and made them live through it up close. The hardened facial expressions to that of an old man reflected how he had lost his childhood way too early in life. Upon fleeing, he ends up on a bus that leads him into Ras Beirut, where he comes across a strange old man in a costume who calls himself the Cockroach Man. He follows the old man off the bus and ends up at an amusement park. He finds a temporary safe haven under the protective wings of Rahil, an Ethiopian refugee who illegally works at a fair, and mothers the incredibly sweet toddler Yunus. The bond that develops between Zan and little Yunus becomes the pivotal point of the story.
شايفك ما أطيب من ساندويش شاورما.
Rahil begins trusting Zan with him as she leaves for work every day. He makes sure that Yunus finds the warmth and love of his home in his sweet arms. He does everything in his power to make that possible. Soon, Rahil goes missing due to her forged migrant documents expiring. Her forger, Aspero, offers to make her new documents for free if she gives up Yunus so he could get adopted. She refuses, despite knowing that Yunus staying with her would mean he will never have any documents of his own. She will have to hide him her whole life. But that didn't change her mind. We see a certain parallel working along, a mother who's willing to give up her child in return for some food and rent, while there is also a mother who's willing to go to jail if it means not giving up her child. She is eventually arrested, and that leaves Zan once again stranded and on his own. He tries his best to make ends meet. With Rahil missing, it exhausts him to not know how to feed baby Yunus, to which he even says,
طلعت أمك أدرت من أمي.
Zan begins selling tramadol, pots and all kinds of odd objects all around the place Rahil left and tries to feed Yunus. He claims Yunus is his brother, to which he gets remarks like,
ما بيشبعك.
Zan meets a girl named Mason in the area where Aspro works. She's a Syrian refugee and tells Zan about the shelter she lives in. She claims the shelter to be providing food and diapers. Zan works on his Syrian accent and goes to the shelter. And he is able to successfully attain some food along with other essentials for himself and baby Yunus. At one point, Zan is waiting on the street when he sees Yunus wandering off towards the crowded road repeatedly. To avoid him from getting hurt, Zan ties Yunus' foot the way his mother would tie his sister's. Mason had earlier claimed that Aspro had agreed to send her to Sweden. Zan demands that Aspro does the same for him, which Aspro agrees to do if Zan gives him Yunus. At this point, Zan reluctantly agrees, and Aspro tells him that he will need some sort of identification to become a refugee. After giving up Yunus to Aspro, Zan returns on the bus crying. He feels the same way he did when he had to watch Sahar leave. A sense of deep despair takes over him. Zain returns to his parents and demands they give him his identification, to which they laughingly tell him he doesn't have any. They disown him for leaving, and instead of giving any form of identity papers, Zain's father shows him the notice they received from hospital, saying that Sahar is dead. This shakes Zain's world as it leaves him in disbelief and sorrow. In a fit of fury and anger, he grabs a knife and storms off to Assad. He is then seen in the juvenile prison for stabbing Assad. His mother visits him at jail and informs him of the news of her expecting a child again, to which Zain simply replies, In the jail, Zain watches a show air on the television, which works for speaking up on child abuse. He somehow manages to make a call and explains that he wants to sue his parents for giving birth to him and making his life miserable. He refuses the same fate to be subjected to the children born in the same environment as he did. Zain also alleges that Aspro is adopting children illegally and mistreating them. Aspro's house is raided, and the children and parent are reunited, including Yunus and Rahil. Nadine Labaki was able to capture this very essence of their struggle and sorrow. The film has a lot of heart-gripping scenes where one would have to stop and process what meaning or emotion is conveyed. Every visual has its own story to tell, and it is undeniably remarkable. Every scene shows a human desperation, seated deep within the nature of man, to ask for love, to belong, an idea of home. The film ends with Zain getting his photograph taken for a passport, to which the photographer cracks a joke. Smile, Zain. It's for your passport, not your death certificate. Keep watching International Cinema Expressway for all the classic movies and the latest releases.